I'm Rebecca. Standing in the middle of my parents' living room, I watched as the weight of the truth settled heavily on their faces. The paperwork I'd laid out on the coffee table spoke volumes, documents that would forever change the dynamics of our family. The room was stiflingly quiet, the ticking of the clock on the wall echoing in my ears. A few months ago, I was miles away from home, serving my country as a soldier. I had a young son named Leo, just 8 years old. He was the light of my life, and leaving him in the care of my parents was one of the hardest decisions I'd ever made. I had filled out a detailed family care plan, thinking I was ensuring his safety and well-being. My parents lived in a quaint little house in a peaceful neighborhood. The porch had a motion light that, unfortunately, had burned out ages ago. They never bothered to fix it, saying it was a waste of money. Leo loved that porch, though. He used to stand under the working light, back when it was still working, in his favorite dinosaur pajamas, the ones with a missing button on the collar that I'd sent him from overseas, and wave goodbye to me as I left. For the first few months, our video calls were normal. Leo would show me his new front teeth coming out, all excited like he was reporting to duty. My mother would stand behind him, complaining about the cost of groceries and the state of the weather. It was the typical chatter of a family far apart. Then, my sister, Lily, moved back in. She had gone through a rough divorce and lost her job, and she saw my parents' house as a safe haven. I found out about her return by accident during one of our Sunday video calls. There she was, in my mother's kitchen, wearing my mother's robe and sipping her coffee, as if she'd always been there. After Lily's arrival, things started to change. My mother became more cautious when talking about money. She'd mention how much Leo was eating, saying that the monthly allotment I sent for his care just wasn't enough. I knew exactly how far that money should go, I'd calculated it down to the last cent. But I didn't want to argue on a video call from a war zone. I didn't want Leo to see me losing a fight. I started to notice that Leo was getting quieter on our calls. He used to talk non-stop, but now he'd answer in short sentences and look off to the side before speaking, as if he was checking the room for someone. One night, towards the end of a call, he leaned in close to the camera, his breath fogging the lens. He was about to whisper something to me when Lily walked into the frame. Instantly, Leo shut his mouth tight. I couldn't let it slide. The next day, I messaged my mother, asking to speak to Leo alone. She said he was at school. The day after, she said he was doing homework. I had a sixth sense about these things, and I knew something was wrong. Our neighbor, Mrs. Thompson, was a retired teacher who'd known our family for years. I texted her and asked if she could stop by the house and check on Leo. She wrote back quickly, saying she'd brought over a plate of cookies the other day. Leo had answered the door by himself, and she noticed he was looking a bit thin. She also mentioned that he flinched when the back door slammed. Just as I was about to reply, I was told we were going on a mission. I'd be without personal communication for 10 days. I quickly asked her to watch him for me and then put my phone away. During those 10 days, I couldn't just sit around and hope. I started to do some research. I found out from a legal clerk at the Forward site that I could change the designated caregiver for Leo. I wrote down the details and started gathering the necessary documents, planning to move Leo to my friend's sister, Aunt Clara, who'd always been fond of him. When I finally got back to base and turned on my phone, there was a voicemail from an unknown number with my parents' area code. Before I could listen to it, I was called to the commander's office. There, he told me the devastating news. Leo had been locked outside on a cold Tuesday night. He was in the hospital in Ohio, stable but in a bad way. The people I'd trusted to take care of him were the reason he was there. I was flown home immediately. On the way, Lily started texting me, saying it was all a misunderstanding and that Leo was fine. I saved every one of those texts as evidence. I know she thought she could control the narrative, but I was one step ahead. When I finally reached the hospital, Leo was in a big bed, looking so small. He saw me and practically launched himself into my arms. After a while, he pulled back and told me the truth. He'd seen a precious ring of my mother's in Lily's coat pocket while looking for his mittens. When he told my mother, things got out of hand. A county case worker, Miss Lewis, informed me that a welfare investigation had been opened. I showed her the family care plan and told her I'd already started the process to change the caregiver because I'd noticed Leo's behavior on the calls. That evening, my parents came to the hospital. My mother walked in, talking a mile a minute, blaming our neighbor for blowing things out of proportion and saying Leo was a difficult child. She said the same horrible thing about him being a thief like his father loud enough for everyone in the hallway to hear. It was then that she saw Ms. Lewis standing behind her, and the realization hit her too late. I decided to call for a family meeting at the house. I wanted the truth to come out in the open. Everyone was there, my parents, Lily, Miss Lewis, and Mrs. Thompson. Lily started by spinning a lie about Leo having a habit of taking things, but I asked her about the gray coat with the big buttons hanging by the back door. Mrs. Thompson then stood up and said she'd found the ring in the pocket. After that day, the family started to fall apart. The phones rang constantly as they tried to reach me, but I stayed silent. My father called me one night, saying he'd heard Leo knocking but had failed to open the door. It was too little, too late. My mother tried to fight back by hiring a lawyer and sending me a letter about grandparents' rights, but the army came through for me. They extended my leave and worked on a reassignment closer to home. At the final meeting, Miss Lewis laid out the results of the investigation, neglect. I calmly told them they no longer had a say in Leo's life. I showed them all the evidence I'd collected, and for the first time, my mother truly seemed to understand the weight of her words. Now, Leo and I have a new home near a base. We're close to Aunt Clara, and Leo has started to heal. He no longer flinches at doors, and he talks loudly and freely again. I changed the bulb on our new porch light the day we moved in. Leo thinks it's magic, and I let him make me walk up and down the steps so it keeps turning on for him. I've learned that sometimes, the people who are supposed to love and protect you can be the ones who hurt you the most. But I also learned that with the right paperwork and a whole lot of determination, I could stand up for my son and ensure his future was safe and bright.